Jim Schultz here for Calculated Risk, and don't forget the best ways you can help us are liking the video and subscribing to the channel. Both of those things help us out a ton. Alright, so if you've been a premium seller for any length of time, if you've been inside of the tasty world, like you know, the thing that keeps us up at night is big, rapid volatility expansions. Well, here's the thing about volatility spikes, those big, rapid volatility expansions. Typically when this happens, the market is not ripping higher. Like typically when this happens, this is not a huge update in the market. It's almost always going to be the exact opposite. The market is going down in a big, big way. And so this is where something like a delta theta ratio can really help you. And this portfolio level metric that the Tasty research team discovered, I mean, it was 4, 5, 6, 7 years ago now, can be really, really helpful because remember, as a premium seller, I've got all this short Vega. I'm exposed to all these big rapid volatility expansions. How much short delta should I consider carrying at the portfolio level to offer up some kind of hedge against those big moves in volatility? And that's exactly what we're going to unpack here today. So let's set the stage. Right? As premium sellers, as volatility sellers, the thing that we are banking on, the edge that we are trying to extrapolate or extract from the marketplace is going to be the difference between implied volatility and realized volatility. And more specifically, the idea that over time, on average, implied volatility is greater than realized volatility. And on average, over time, that is what the empirical studies have shown, that implied volatility is greater than realized volatility. But that doesn't mean it's going to happen every single time. That doesn't mean there can't be situations or markets or moves where the actual realized volatility in the marketplace, the volatility that you are seeing on your screen, is just ripping everybody's faces off. And as a premium seller, being short Vega, that is not what you want to have happen. But again, give it enough time, it's going to happen to every single one of us. And so what can we do as a way to potentially protect ourselves against those type of moves? That's where the short delta comes into play. And that's where something like a delta to theta ratio can be very, very helpful. Because here's the core relationship that is very helpful for understanding why this can even be valuable in the marketplace. There is a reliably inverse relationship between market prices and market volatility. Like generally speaking, when market prices are going up and everybody's happy, volatility tends to be going down. But the reverse is also true. When market prices are going down and the market is sinking, volatility is oftentimes on the rise. And this makes sense because if there's a lot of fear and uncertainty in the world, that's going to drive put buying, and the put buying is going to lift the implied volatility of those out of the money puts. And so that is where you see this rise in market-wide volatility. In fact, if you look at the S&P 500, SPY, and the VIX, you're going to see a negative correlation of maybe 0.7, 0.8, 0.85, depending on how far you go back in the exact look-back period that you might be studying. So there is a reliably negative correlation between market prices and market volatility. Well, when this happens, if I have some short delta on in my portfolio, when volatility does spike, hopefully you can begin to see that's going to at least partially offset some of the losses that I'm going to be experiencing on my short premium. That's the goal. Like that is the objective that we are trying to attain when it comes to carrying short delta against our short premium portfolio. Okay, so how do we actually do this? Like how do I actually put this into practice? Well, it's basically just a two-step process. Pretty simple. Step one, you want to figure out what is the portfolio theta number that you want to be carrying in the overall portfolio. We've even talked about this on previous episodes of Calculated Risk, and so you can go back and check those out in the archives because your boy still needs that watch time. But in those episodes, you saw somewhere between 0.1% and 0.5% of total net lick in daily theta. So that means if you have a $100,000 account, maybe your daily theta, your portfolio theta is between 100, 0.1%, and 500, 0.5%. Or if you have a $50,000 account, your daily theta, your portfolio theta, is going to be between 50, 0.1%, and 250, 0.5%. Now, how do you decide where to live on that range? Well, generally speaking, if you are more risk averse and you'd like to be a bit more conservative with what you are doing, you're going to be on the lower end of that range. If you are less risk averse and you really want to be a bit more aggressive with your profit targets and what you're trying to do, then you're generally going to be in the higher end of that range. But it also depends on market-wide volatility, capital availability, skill level, things like that. But that's a general overview of kind of your portfolio theta numbers. Step number one is figure out what this number is or should be or what you want it to be in your portfolio, and then you're ready to go. Because step two, now that you have the portfolio theta number in place, like now it's just plug and play. Like now it's really just fill in the blank. What you want to target, and this is what the Tasty Research team has shown as a really nice reference point, is a delta to theta ratio of 0.5. And so that means absolute value of 0.5. And so that means for every 1 delta in your portfolio, you have 2 theta. So I know that if I want to carry, if I want to carry 100 theta at the portfolio level, then I know I'm going to want to have about 50 delta. If I want to carry 200 theta at the portfolio level, then I know I want about 100 delta in my portfolio. Now I said absolute value because remember, this is more appropriate for short delta. So again, when you're looking at short delta over positive theta, negative delta over positive theta, it's technically a negative ratio, but it's a bit easier just in common parlance to kind of talk in terms of positive numbers. So 0.5 is your reference point, 1 delta for every 2 theta at the portfolio level. Okay, so that's the delta theta ratio in action. And again, this is just a reference point. You don't have to be exact. You don't need a surgical level of precision here. If you're at 0.6 or 0.4 or 0.35, like I think you're in really good shape. You just don't want to get too far out of bounds because it might show you that your directional exposure is kind of out of whack for the amount of theta in your portfolio as indicated by the short premium that you're carrying, the positive theta, the time decay you want working for you, and what have you. But here's one big caveat to using this ratio. It's not going to be super effective if you have long delta. Like if you are actually carrying positive delta, it's not going to have the same effect on what you're trying to accomplish. And the reason why this is the case might be clear to you based on something we talked about just a few minutes ago. Right? What is the general relationship in the marketplace that we are trying to protect against? It's the inverse relationship between market prices and market volatility. So normally when market volatility is skyrocketing, what we're trying to guard against, market prices are going to be going down. The market is going to be falling. It's not going to be going up. So if I have long delta in my portfolio, I want the market to go up. So that directional bias, those long deltas, they're not going to help me. They're not going to protect. They're not going to hedge against market volatility ripping higher. In fact, they're only going to serve to exacerbate the problem, right? They're only going to serve to make it actually worse and leave me a little bit double whammy because now if volatility is ripping and it's spiking and expanding really quickly, then not only am I getting hit on the short Vega, but if I have positive delta, then I'm going to be getting hit on the delta aspect too. Now, this isn't to say that you shouldn't carry positive delta. I mean, there's certainly a time and a place for that. And you may be thinking, Jim, I want to carry the positive delta because I want to play positive drift. I want to play the positive risk premium. I want to play kind of a bullish stance in this market or just over the long term, whatever. Those are all fine and good reasons to do that. The point that I'm trying to make is when it comes to something specifically like a delta to theta ratio, it's just not going to be effective if you like to carry long delta. So a better option for you in this scenario is to compare your overall delta exposure in your portfolio to the broad market indexes to get some feel for how leveraged you might be to the broad market indexes. And as I say that out loud, it dawns on me we really need a calculated risk on that specifically, so be sure to stay tuned for that guy coming up. But for those of you that are looking for a specific way to protect against or guard against your outstanding short premium and you're okay holding some short delta, you kind of want to have some kind of directional hedge in the event that volatility does spike, the delta theta ratio can give you a really good reference point, a really good understanding for how much delta should I be carrying relative to the theta exposure that I have in my portfolio. And remember, it's a pretty simple two-step process. Step one, you find your portfolio theta, and then step two, you just plug and play the delta that would bring you to around 0.5. You've got your delta theta in place, you've got a partial directional hedge against volatility expanding, and you're set and ready to go. And we'll see you guys next time.